Hey, Warren Eckstein here. I want to talk about a real important subject today, something I get asked an awful lot, whether it be TV or radio. Alpha. What does alpha really mean? Why is my dog showing aggressive behavior? I put some notes together I want to share with you because it's so important. So many dogs wind up at the shelter or worse based on the fact that people consider them the aggressive dog or the alpha dog. Well, let me just go over some stuff. This is really, really important. A dog's aggressive behavior, that dog that's being aggressive, is all too often mistakenly perceived as the dog's attempt to try to take over. The alpha, the dog's attempt to try to take over. And most people consider that, you watch TV, alpha, alpha, alpha. That's not what it is at all. In fact, and this is so important, the most common reason that a dog will display aggressive behavior is either fear related or defensive aggression. What do I mean by defensive aggression? It means that if someone's really being hard with the dog and the dog's really feeling fearful and there's nothing they can do, they may become a little aggressive at that point. Things like the alpha roll or kicking the dog, which I would never do, but I've seen trainers do it on videos, famous trainers. They tap the dog in the flank with their foot or they do the alpha roll. All of these things can create a dog that's either fearful or just trying to survive. There's many reasons why a dog may be defensively aggressive. It stands to reason that a dog who is randomly treated badly will act out. And here's one of the things that I wrote down that's so important. Dogs that are punished for normal behavior, such as trying to walk through the door first or protecting its valuables, its food, can become defensive. A dog that's been starving on the streets that you rescued can become really defensive over food. But there are ways to deal with that. That's what I do. That's what behaviorists do. Occasionally, there's something called an idiopathic aggression, where the aggression is really physiological rather than behavioral. That can also be treated for the most part using behaviorists and veterinary medicines at the same time. But let me just say this, and this is so, so important, and I talk about this so often. I wrote this down. It's called the alpha dog myth. Your dog is not trying to dominate you. Dogs do whatever works to get them what they want. Management, clear direction, and cooperation will get you both what you want. So let's talk about aggressive behavior. You know, I've trained over 40,000 dogs, and don't say that to brag. Maybe I do. Anyway, the bottom line is this. I've worked with every certain breed, every type, every behavior, and having spent as much time at shelters as I do, I realize that so much of the aggressive behavior that's been put on these dogs, either by the person turning them in, the family, or the people at the shelter, they're not really that aggressive. I've adopted, I've had over 30 dogs at one time. I've adopted dogs that were deemed so aggressive that nothing could be done. They have to be euthanized, put down, whatever. Once these dogs came out, they started living a normal life, realized that life was good, things weren't bad. There's rules and regulations, of course, with anything. So aggressive behavior is generally created by one of two things. Either a dog that is not been socialized, or a guardian. When I say guardian, I mean a family where there's no consistencies. One person tells the dog to do this, one person tells the dog to do that. So the dog gets really, really confused. And the other thing is the dog that's really, really been abused. And that's the one that breaks my heart. So many dogs I've worked with that were considered aggressive in terms of showing aggressive behavior, it's not really aggressive behavior at all. It's something that Warren calls survival behavior. When you have to survive, you have to do what you think you have to do. And so many dogs that have been abused and mistreated go into that survival instinct. I got to do what's going to make it work. So here's what happens. If you have a dog, and some trainers and people are blamed for this, I really do. The dog starts showing aggressive behavior, the people become more aggressive with the dog. And the more aggressive you become with the dog, the more aggressive the dog's going to become. It's like two men fighting. The more they fight, the more tougher they get. It's important to know as a behaviorist, as a guardian, that if you start noticing a behavioral change in your dog, the first thing you want to do is make sure it's not medical. Check with your veterinarian. But if you notice other changes, look at the family setup. Look at where you're treating your dog. Are you giving your dog enough exercise? Are you giving your dog enough positive attention? Are you giving your dog consistent direction? In other words, if you tell the dog to do something 5 times and the 6th time he doesn't do it, how tough are you getting with the dog? I mean, no one's perfect. Why should the dog do it every time? Doesn't have to do it every time. Military dogs and police dogs, that's another story. So the bottom line is this. Honestly, between you and me, I am so tired. Everyone in the world now is a trainer. Everyone's doing these alpha roles. Everyone's being tough with the dog. You got to be the alpha. You got to be in charge. Think of it as this. If you're the dog and you live in a family with a husband, a wife, and 2.5 kids, whatever a 0.5 kid is, think about what's going on here. Everyone is telling the dog what to do. And sometimes everyone's telling the dog what to do differently. The dog becomes confused, doesn't know what's right, doesn't know what's wrong, and may react. And that reaction is based on the family and the humans, not on the dog. As I said, occasionally you become a dog that has physiological aggressive behavior. That can be handled in most cases with a behaviorist and a trainer. But if you notice your dog's aggressive behavior, what the dog needs is more positive education. Not more correction, but more positive education. It's just like a child that gets into fights all the time. If you teach him karate, he knows how to use it. In other words, he's not the tough guy all the time because he realizes that that's not what he has to do. The same thing with a well-behaved dog. So if you have a dog that's showing aggressive behavior and you're not able to handle it the right way, consider asking your vet or find a behaviorist or a trainer, but make sure you check them out really carefully. Again, as I said, alpha dog myths. If I hear the word alpha dog one more time, my head's going to explode. It might be a dog that's kind of looking to be in charge a little bit based on the fact he doesn't know what's right and what's wrong. So remember, as Warren always says, when in doubt, blame it on mom and dad. Hey, we'll see you guys on the pet show. And if you have any questions about your dog showing aggressive behavior, that'd be a great time to give me a call as well.